Hello, this is RICKY, the mainstream movie guy. Hey guys, today I'm bringing you my top 10 movies of 2015. Now, before we get started, I did want to have a few honorable mentions, and I believe I have five of them. So these are movies that I really liked, but they did not make it to the top 10, and this was pretty hard. And before you ask, no, these are not the 10 that are in the top 10. Case in point, let me get to the first one. First honorable mention is the Peanuts movie. I really enjoyed this. Having never have seen a single Peanuts show, I thought this was really great for kids, and just really fun all around. That was just a great overall movie, and again, really good fun at the movies. And that's the whole idea behind this list. I'm not saying which one is the best motion picture, best acting, and everything like that, but which one I had the best time with throughout the year. So that's how I want to rate these. Second one is The Hateful Eight. Now, The Hateful Eight was not Quentin Tarantino's best work, in my opinion, but it was still a great movie, and it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. He does really great work, of course, and there was just some really great acting and great dialogue in this movie. Definitely Samuel L. Jackson and Kurt Russell were my favorites by far, to be honest. But just a really fun time at the movies for sure, and really great. Definitely a movie you should see in theaters if you want to see it because it really is meant to see in theaters. Another one that I really enjoyed, and if you know me as my alter ego, the Android guy, you might be surprised, but I really loved this movie. Steve Jobs was a hell of a movie, and although I don't feel Michael Fassbender really looks like Steve Jobs, I cannot say enough great things about his performance. It was an amazing performance, and it's great all around. I really was sad that not as many people saw this movie. It really gave you a great insight into the life of Steve Jobs and how he really was as a man. I think it just would be great for a lot of people to see this. It's just great acting and a really interesting way of storytelling, telling three different times throughout their lives, and you see these four characters again and again in three different times in their lives. So really great movie. Definitely highly recommend seeing it. Another honorable mention that I just reviewed recently was The Big Short. I said this was actually the most important movie of the year to me. Although it did not make my top 10 list, I still do believe that it is a really important movie for you to see, just simply because if you lived from now till 2008, then you lived through a big devastation that apparently was able to be seen. But the housing market went through it, and it was because of what banks did. If you really want to know what they did, and it's explained in such a black and white way that anyone can understand it. I don't care if you're a fifth grader, you can understand exactly what happened. I would definitely recommend it. And with that, my last honorable mention is Inside Out. Yes, Inside Out did not make my top 10 list. It was, again, a really hard struggle. I went back and forth this a lot, but ultimately, I did like In and Out. I did not love it as much as a lot of my friends did. I thought it was a great movie, as Pixar often delivers, but I feel that it was too, I feel, emotionally manipulative at times, and also the two characters, Joy and Sadness, I just didn't like as much as even the side characters. I found them more compelling than the two main ones. So overall, I did like it. I did have fun with it, but it just wasn't enough to make my top 10. All right, now let's get right down to it. Now that the honorable mentions are over, the 10th place, the 10th best movie of the year, Jurassic World. You could probably guess this was going to be in the top 10. I mean, it did a huge impact this year, and of course, this was the part that everyone loved, motorcycle riding with raptors. It was amazing to see, and it brought back something from that Jurassic Park that we've never gotten in any of the sequels, and I thought it was just a perfect mixture. I really had fun with it. I think there was a bit of a backlash because it did so well. People were upset that it did so well, but honestly, it was a really good and fun movie. For one, am looking forward to seeing where they go from here because after the Park movie, is where Jurassic Parks have had their issues in terms of the sequel. So I'm really kind of curious now that they've done World, what's going to be next. In number 9 is The Kingsman. I remember going into this movie, me and my fiance were like, "Oh God, I don't know if this is gonna be good." Like so many critics said it was good, but I just don't know. And we were both so surprised. I love all three of these cast members. Samuel L. Jackson was very interesting. I did not think I was gonna like his character because of the voice he had, but he made it work. Evsey was just really great, and I mean the acting was just fun, and it was a fun movie. It was a play on all the spy movies, and it was a better James Bond movie than James Bond was this year, in my opinion. So it was just really well done, and I can't wait to see where Eggsy goes. Although I just hope he comes back. I hope, you know, that all the three cast members get to come back, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. All right, in number 8, Furious 7. Furious 7 was a fun time at the movies, as all Fast and Furious ones generally are. But what really made this one stand out, of course, was the ending and the send off for Paul Walker, someone who just gave us such a fun, exhilarating series, along with Vin Diesel, and it was just really fun. And obviously, when The Rock came in, it came to a whole new level, and it was just really fun. 5 and 6 are two of my just fun movies that I can always turn on and just watch. 7 completed that, and it was just again, I think it was more of an emotional time because you know what happened with Paul Walker, and it was a perfect send off movie, and I think it did very well in doing that. For number 7, it is Ant-Man. Ant-Man was so much fun. If you have not seen Ant-Man, you should totally see it. I, for one, just really had a fun time with it. So much so that it was interesting to see if this was going to be my favorite comic book movie of the year. It did not end up being one after further looking, but overall, it was just such a fun movie. I thought it was a great addition to Marvel, showed them how funny and comical they could be, and this one did that very well. If you haven't seen Ant-Man, I highly recommend you see it. It's just a good, fun movie, and it's hilarious. I thought it was just really well done. At number 6 is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. In my opinion, in the year of the spy movies where you had Mission Impossible, James Bond, Kingsman, Spy, and just a plethora of it seemed like Secret Service type movies, Man from Uncle, all these different ones. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation showed that you know what? This is the best one going right now. Mission Impossible just was so good. I thought they were not going to be as good as Ghost Protocol, and it did. It upped the ante. It did it very well. I really enjoyed Rogue Nation. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend you do, just because it's a really fun and amazing movie that it's a great movie. You should see it. It's strong female actor, strong male role, and just the ensemble casting was done very well. Everyone got a bit of their part, and it was just a great movie to watch. I loved it in the theater, but it definitely has repeat watchability. All right, and number 5, Straight Outta Compton. Straight Outta Compton was just really an interesting take on what happened. Now, it really is great to see just how the background of the NWA came to be. And the character who did Easy E, my God, he was just so good. I really still hope he gets either a Best Actor. I'm not sure if it would be considered a Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, because I'm not sure if Dre and Ice Cube were the main ones. But really, he did so amazing in that role, and I think they all did amazing, but he just shined as Easy. He really kind of drew you through the emotions. The ending I felt could have used a little bit more wrap up. I felt that Dre was overly portrayed as like the great guy kind of thing when during this time he had abuse issues. So I think that they kind of left a little too much out, which he apologized for later. But overall, again, just a really well acted movie and something you should see if you are a music buff. This was obviously a group that definitely impacted the music industry. And in number 4, The Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, I know I might get some flack for this, but honestly, this movie has real great watchability, especially if you watch it a second time. I felt like a lot of people just were like, oh, well, it wasn't as good as the first one, so it sucks. And honestly, if you really watch it again, it's not. It's not as good as the first one, but I still believe the first one is the best comic book movie we've had to date. And Avengers Age of Ultron really did have a lot of great parts. Yes, obviously the farmhouse, we all know that part definitely could have cut Hawkeye, Hawkeye, General Reynolds, I'm sorry, you're playing Hawkeye, you're not Iron Man, you're not Captain America, you don't deserve as much screen time. Just my opinion. But it really was a great movie overall. I thought we got what we wanted. Again, the Avengers coming together, and you really got to see the seeds for what we're going to get this year in Civil War. Again, I like this movie more the second and third time watching it than I did the first time. The first time I was just like, oh man, like, I wish it would have been better, but the more and more I watched it was good. And the main thing I think that it missed, not enough Hulk. We really did not get enough Hulk in terms of comedy, and along with Mark Ruffalo, we didn't get that comical element from Hulk that we did last time around. And I think that really kind of hurt it in terms of how much we can get from a comical run. Obviously, we know we're going to get it from Tony Stark and others, but I think that was one thing that hurt it. All right, we're down to the final 3. Do you think you know which 3 are? All right, let's see. Number 3, The Martian. The Martian was an amazing movie. Again, really well acted from Matt Damon. He just really showed how isolation can affect a person, and you really believed what he was doing. Like, he was trying to survive, and you felt like, is this a documentary? Is this real? No, but it really felt like that. Like, this is what could have happened in these circumstances, and it just really great movie. The visuals were great, but overall, I think the acting is what drove this home, and I think it's something that you should definitely see. It's completely worth checking out, and obviously one of the best movies of the year. Coming in at number 2, I do want to mention for number 1 and 2, I went back and forth actually between these two a lot. I was like, no, this one, no, this one, no, this one. Ultimately, this is my final number 2 because I went back and forth with it, and that is Creed. Creed, I had said, was my favorite movie of the year for a while. I mean, I said it for about a month, and it was just so damn good. I mean, it still to this day, I would say, had the best moment in a movie this year for me. When you hear that iconic Rocky song, the dun 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 dun, dun, and oh my God, like that moment, it drew everything in that we had seen in this movie. And also, if you have the memory from the old movies and seeing what had happened there, it just brought such an amazing feeling to me. When I heard that song, I'm like, oh man, this is so awesome. And it was just such a good movie. I definitely do think Sylvester Stallone deserves a Best Supporting Actor role nominee, and if not to win that award this year, because his character as Rocky was so damn good. And yes, Sylvester Stallone, a person that has not shown a great acting performance in many years, deserves a supporting actor nominee for this. That's how good this movie was. Michael B. Jordan, again, another amazing performance. We pretty much can forget about Fantastic Four because of how bad Fantastic Four was, is how good this movie was. Just to give you an idea, like, all is forgiven from this one movie. It completely overtook how bad Fantastic Four was in just this movie. So yeah, Creed again, my most favorite one point in a movie of this year, and it was definitely just an amazing movie that if you haven't seen, you should see it. And it talks about, it's a coming of age story to be sure, and it's just such a great one. Definitely highly recommend you see it. And my number 1, if you can guess, because I have not yet mentioned it, and because it has the most views on my channel as well, of course, and that is Star Wars. Now, Creed I saw twice in the movie theaters. Star Wars I have seen 4 times. Star Wars The Force Awakens was the return to that world. It really brought all of us back into that world. Was it a perfect movie? No. No, it did play a little bit too much like A New Hope, and that's the big complaint that people from our generation have had and even older, but for people that are just beginning to watch Star Wars, it was a perfect movie for them because they didn't have a new hope to fall back on. They just had these great characters with amazing talent, and it was just so damn good as a movie. With Ray, with Oscar Isaac, with or sorry, no, Poe Dameron, with Kylo Ren, with Finn. Just these characters are so damn good, and BB-8 was amazing. We just really had a great overall movie. And again, if anything, it just really makes you excited for the next one. Force Awakens definitely showed of just how much of an event a movie can be and how entertaining a movie can be. And that was what this list was about. It wasn't necessarily which is the best overall movie, but which are my top 10 movies that I had in the movie theater this year and which was the best movies experience and the best ones I can watch again and again. Alright, guys, let me know your top 10 or maybe even top 5 lists in the comment section down below. Make sure to give a like, thumbs up as well. This has been RICKY, the Mainstream Movie Guy.